Good afternoon and welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus, to another analysis and breakdown of the Qur'an of the Muslims. Yes, we're back once again to break this thing down verse by verse into factual logical statements in English so that you and I can understand who or what is Allah Akbar, what does he mean by the contents of this book here, and more importantly for us as non-believers, how does this affect us in our lives today? So before I start, as I always do, I'm going to tell you now, kindly please buy and read one of these, a Tajweed Qur'an like this with meanings translated into English if you have any doubts over my factual accuracy or the things I'm about to say. And once you have done so, you'll recognise everything I'm about to say now is 100% true of the words in this book and what Muslims believe today. Now, I know a lot of them are going to deny this, they feel very shameful about it, and rightly so they're going to lie and scheme and deny it. But if you watch this series and you have also read this book, you will know better and you will be able to accurately assess whether they're telling you the truth, which they never are, and you will know exactly what the message of Allah in this book and how that relates to you. So, with that in mind, let's carry on where we left off. So we started reading through Al-Baqarah in the Tajweed Qur'an, and we got so far as Allah teaching Adam the nature of all things, and his angels are surrounding this, listening on, and declaring that they have no knowledge save what Allah has just taught them. So they were completely empty-headed before that point. Now they have the secrets of the universe and the hidden knowledge of heaven and earth. Unfortunately though, off camera, Adam seems to have done something wrong and he gets chucked out of the paradise garden. Satan leads him down to the earth, and that is where we got up to, where we're going to pick up from now. So we return to our reading from verse 38 of Al-Baqarah. So I'm going to show you the page so that the Muslims can't whinge and bitch and say that I've translated it wrong. That is what we shall be reading. So let's get started. 38. We said, that's Allah's angels, we said, get ye down all from here. And if, as it is sure, there comes to you guidance from me, Allah, whosoever follows my guidance, on them shall be no fear, nor shall they ever grieve. So if we break this down, Adam has fallen to the earth from the paradise garden. He's been chucked out by Allah. We don't know why this is, it doesn't describe it, but we do know that it was Satan that led them down. So I say led them down because I know from reading the much earlier, much more accurate Torah, the Old Testament, that Adam is not alone. He has a compatriot, his wife Eve, who is also there, who gets a mention actually one time in this book. She's called Wife. We don't know what her name is. And they get thrown out. So we know at this point in time, it is the first day humans have been upon the earth. And there is nobody else there. There's only Adam, Eve, Allah, and the angels. So isn't it curious how they say, the angels, get ye down all from here? It sounds like they're speaking to a bigger group. But we know because there hasn't been anyone else described that only Adam and Eve and Allah and the angels are present. Then he goes on to say, if as is sure, so Allah is saying, if you do this and it's sure that this will happen, there comes to you guidance from me, Allah in the book. If you follow the things I tell you, on you shall be no fear and never shall you grieve. So Allah is saying, even though you've just been kicked out of the paradise garden for doing whatever it was you did, your transgression, if now that you're on the earth, you follow this guidance, which is supposedly from Allah, you will have no fear and you shall not ever grieve. Now, how do we know this is a lie from Allah? Well, because Allah said at the beginning, fear Allah. So even though he's saying if you follow Allah you will have no fear, one of the prerequisites of following Allah is that you fear him. You know, he's going to give you his portion of wrath, he's going to punish you so that you're directed to that straight path all the way to the judgment day. And by the way, you're going to have a jihad against Christians and Jews. And if you are an intelligent, regular human being, which these guys are at the beginning, before they get brainwashed by this garbage, they will have fear of that jihad. They're going to war, they're going to be shooting people, and people are going to be shooting them. They're going to be breaking local laws and falling foul of law enforcement, and they're going to be making plenty of enemies. So of course they are going to feel fear. And the other bit, grief. What is grief? Grief is a feeling of sadness that hits you after something bad has happened to you, For instance, one of your friends has died, or you have been severely punished for something. So for Allah to say, as long as you follow this noxious trash, this poisonous garbage, you will have no fear and no grief, it's just flat out wrong. The only way you could believe that to be true is if you are brainwashed to not feel fear or grief when you actually should be, because you're a human being. You are a sensitive, emotional human being with an intelligent mind and a heart. So when these things happen to you, you should feel fear. You should feel grief. If you're not feeling these normal, regular human emotions, then that suggests a psychological problem of brainwashing caused by the commandments of Allah in this book. That's what that means. So we move on to verse 39. But those who reject our faith and belie our signs, they shall be companions of the fire. They shall abide therein. So Allah has immediately forgotten that he said he was going to give you guidance and has started to threaten you, Muslims, with punishments. That's what he's saying here. He's saying, if you follow my stuff and you fear only me, you won't feel any fear. It's kind of a logical fallacy there, Allah, but who am I to argue with great and powerful Allah? And he says you won't have any grief, but then he goes on to say, those who reject the faith and belie our signs, so that means when angels of Allah are giving you holy signs, if you don't recognize them or you fail to recognize them as holy signs, Allah's going to punish you. And the thing he's going to punish you with is his evil fire. He says, you will be companions of the fire, not just fire, the fire, which means he's going to make a big fire and he's going to use a spade to pile bodies on, and you will be one of those unfortunate bodies burning forever on his evil fire if you don't believe in him. There shall abide therein. So it's not like you're even going to die from this fire. It's not a regular fire. You shall abide therein the fire. That means you shall live, but you shall be living inside the fire. You shall be burning in pain forever. So says Allah in the book. Graceful and merciful, eh? Absolutely not. But that's what that means. And we move on. Verse number 40. Now this is interesting because remember at this point, Adam and Eve just fell from the paradise garden. There's no other humans on earth. Allah and his angels are speaking to them directly and saying, if you don't follow my guidance, if you reject my faith, we'll punish you with evil fire. Verse number 40 starts, O children of Israel. So he's talking to the Jews now. So even though a minute ago we're talking about Adam and Eve, now Allah has rolled forward time without telling us, and he's now talking to the children of Israel, who date back to about 1500 BC. Before that they were called the Hebrews. The children of Israel means the descendants of Moses through the line of Judah. So we're talking about the generations described in the Holy Bible. They are the children of Israel, and that's who he's talking to now. 40. O children of Israel, call to mind the favour which I bestowed upon you, and fulfil your covenant with me, as I fulfil my covenant with you, and fear none but me. So I think what we can glean from this, if we break it down, O children of Israel, the Jews from the time of Judah, so we've gone forward like thousands of years, call to mind the special favour I bestowed upon you. Now, when does Allah ever bestow a special favour upon the Jews? Never is when. He doesn't. He hates the Jews. Remember what we went through with the Moses bit when he prophesies all the Jews are going to be killed and there will be slaves and die as slaves. They escape and they're still alive. Then he prophesies he's going to swiftly destroy Israel and kill all the Jews again. Then, doesn't happen. Israel's still there today. There's millions more Jews than there ever were. So he was wrong there. Now he's saying, call to mind the special favour I bestowed upon you, O children of Israel, even though he has never done that. So he's already told 4 lies in the first 7 pages of his Qur'an. But I think the reason he is doing this, he wants you to think that he is God. That guy. He wants you to think he's God because God bestows a special blessing upon the children of Israel. And the special blessing that God bestows upon the children of Israel is, I will allow you to escape Egypt away from Allah and the Pharaoh and not be slaves. I will send you to freedom, and then I will make you a great nation with your sons as its leaders. And he's talking about Abraham, Noah, Moses, Isaac, and Jacob and those guys, his sons, the 12 tribes. So that's not Allah, that is God that does that. Allah's the one who it is doing it against. The special favour is you can escape Allah and his evil guys, even though you're currently slaves and you don't have any weapons, and they're much tougher than you. God, will allow you to escape across the sea. Moses will part the sea, then you'll escape, and you will set up Israel. You'll be a great nation. That's the special favour. So we know it's a lie from Allah when he says, children of Israel, call to mind the favour which I bestowed upon you, being Allah. He didn't bestow any favour upon you. But he wants you, the reader, the children of Israel, is who he's writing this to. But it's anyone who reads the Qur'an. Allah wants to deceive you, the reader, into thinking that he is actually God. And it was him that did the covenant with the Jews, even though we know for a fact it was not. And fulfill your covenant with me as I fulfill my covenant with you, and fear none but me. So, point 1. There is no covenant between the children of Israel and Allah. The children of Israel think Allah is Satan, and their covenant is with God, who is going to defend them against the advances of Satan and his armies, which we know now to be Muslims and Islam. Then he says, as I fulfill my covenant with you. Now, what he's talking about here, even though he hasn't yet given us sufficient information to understand this, he's talking about a piece we're going to get to later in the book, when he claims he kills all the Israelites and Moses dead with lightning bolts. This is true, by the way, we'll get to this. He physically says that in this book. Then he raises them all up from the dead, and because he's raised them all up from the dead, he considers that their existing covenant with God is now ended, because he killed them. That's when it ended. So when he raises them up, he makes a new covenant with them, but they do not agree to this, and they leave and they set up Israel. This is all recorded in this book as well. So that's another 2 lies, 6 lies in 7 pages that Allah has told you, the reader, in order to usurp the place of true God and convince you that it's actually him. Then the last thing he says is, after you do this, you will fulfill your covenant. I'll fulfill my covenant with you that doesn't exist. And you will fear none but me. So Allah is saying here, even though in verse 39 or 38 he said, if you follow my guidance, you shall have no fear. Now he's saying, when you fulfill your covenant to him, not God, to Allah, you will fear none but him. So you will have fear. You'll have fear of him. So that's a 7th lie and an 8th lie. So we've had 8 clear, demonstrably, evidentially factual lies from Allah, both to the children of Israel and to you, the reader. And the entire point of all 8 of these lies is for you to think that God isn't God, Allah is actually God. And then this God presumably is somebody else. So that's what that means, and we move on. 41. And believe in what I reveal, confirming the revelation which is already with you, and be not the first to reject faith therein, nor sell my signs for a small price, and fear me and me alone. So, if we break this down, this is a little bit more complicated. And believe in what I reveal. So the supposition is you're already believing in something which has been revealed to you, though we're not going to talk about that in Allah's words. He doesn't mention that. And believe in what I reveal, says Allah. So he is replacing a faith and belief system that you already have, O reader, children of Israel. He's replacing your current beliefs with this, and he's saying, if you do that, then you will have his signs, and you will not have rejected the faith. But as he told you before, if you don't do this, believe this, accept him now, and you do reject his faith, he will send you to his fire where you will burn forever. So you won't be dead, you'll be dead here, but your spirit will live on, but it will live on inside a fire, which will burn you. Then the last thing he says is, nor sell my signs for a small price, and fear me and me alone. So again, he is motioning the fact that there is someone else that you could be believing in, although he's not going to mention who that is, but he's saying, don't fear that guy, fear me alone, despite the fact that I promised you in verse 39 and 38 that you will have no fear if you did believe in me. Now he is saying, if you believe in me, you will have fear of me alone, no one else. Is that a 9th lie? I think so. So that's what that means. And we move on to verse 42. And cover not truth with falsehood, nor conceal the truth when you know. Then it has brackets what it is. So the humans have added this afterwards. And cover not truth with falsehood. Truth has a capital T. So as we know from our reading of the Reliance of the Traveller, capital T truth in this book means not the truth as in the truth that we all recognise, the thing that's 100% true. Capital T truth in here is defined as anything Allah says in his book. And the permissible lies, which mean defending Prophet Muhammad from his claims of paedophilia, because he had sex with a 6-year-old, forced himself on a 6-year-old, and anything that decries the faith of Islam as being false. So the truth in this book that you have to not cover and that you have to reveal is completely false things which Allah has told you are true. You will consider those to be true. So we know in verse 42, Allah is blinding your eyes with lies. Not only is he deceiving you, O reader, he is making sure that you deceive everybody else that you talk to about this. Otherwise, you'll go into the fire to spiritually burn forever. But he's all gracious and merciful. So says Muhammad, the paedophilic, pervert. Caravan robbing filth merchant. So anyway, we carry on. 43. And be steadfast in prayer, practice regular charities, and bow your heads to those who bow down in worship. I think this one needs a little bit more explanation. So if we break this one down, verse 43, and be steadfast in prayer, doesn't mean just prayer to anyone. It means be steadfast in Al-Fatiha, which is the prayer that you know so far. You haven't learned any other prayers yet, so that's the one he's talking about. Allah is saying, do your Al-Fatiha 5 times a day, like you were told, otherwise you'll go to the evil fire and you will not be righteous. But the next bit is more important and more interesting. Practice regular charity. Now, does Allah mean just be a nice charitable person, as you might think if you just read this? No. Because we know what is considered charity in this book, and actually we know from our reading of the other 7 Qur'ans, though none of them say the word charity, what the other 7 Qur'ans say is always observe zakat in your mosque. That's the charity that he's talking about here. He's not talking about give money to Christian Aid or the Salvation Army. He's not talking about give London beggars money when you see them. Don't do those things is what he's saying. Charity as defined by Allah means giving money to the mosque directly, not a person. So that's what he's saying. He's saying, don't forget to pay your jizya, which is effectively what this is. It's a Muslim jizya. Don't forget to pay your Muslim tax to the mosques. That's your charity. So it's kind of misleading there. He's making you feel like, oh, I'm a nice charitable guy because I'm giving the mosque all my money so I can tell people I do charity work and that I give generously. When in fact all you are doing is paying your Muslim tax, which is not charity. It's something you have to pay as a Muslim. Charity means a certain thing, you see. This is where Allah likes to fall down when he defines things. He defines truth as what he says, not truth. He defines mercy as cutting the heads off the infidels rather than torturing them in slavery, which is not justice. Now he is telling you that charity is something which it is not. He is telling you that charity is an obligation, a forceful thing that you must do whether you feel charitable or not. That is not what charity is. Charity starts in the heart and means you give generously because you want to, not because you need to, not because someone has told you to. If someone tells you to give charity every single time and you do, then it is not charity, it is an obligated thing that you are doing. Whether you feel charitable or not doesn't matter. You will do it because you are commanded. So you are a slave. In fact, when I think about it, once you are a slave to Allah, you cannot ever be charitable because you are only doing the things he tells you to do. You're a slave. You are just being ordered around by this guy, which means you have no truth, you have no justice, you have no peace, you have no grace, you cannot be nice, charitable, loving. None of these things are available to you anymore. The only thing you can be is an obedient slave of Allah. If you follow this filthy, disgusting, evil, false doctrine from a false god, Allah. That's what that means. So we move on. 44. Do you enjoin right conduct on the people and forget to practice it yourselves, and yet you study the scripture? Will ye not understand? So if we break this down, do you enjoin right conduct on the people? Again, he's making it sound there like, are you nice? Are you rightly conducting yourself with other people? That's not what this means. We know from our reading the other Qur'ans, enjoining right conduct on people isn't what the actual Arabic manuscript says. It says don't enjoin customs of other cultures and religions. Only enjoin the customs of Islam given in this book, and the people is Muslims or potential converts to Islam. Obviously, they're not talking about the Christians and Jews who are damned, who you're going to have to fight till the last day, which we read about in the previous pages, 19 to 29. He's talking about Muslims to Muslims. So even though it's written to trick you into thinking, oh, Muslims sound lovely. No, this is not talking about Muslims being lovely. This is talking about Muslims making sure other Muslims do the Qur'an. Otherwise, they'll punish the others. You know, Muslims will punish each other. Then he goes on to say, do you conduct right conduct on the people and forget to practice it yourself? See, that's how we know. Because he says, and forget to practice it yourselves. The fact that you are practicing this conduct, you don't practice casual good manners and right conduct to people. It's not a practice. It's an attitude. You know, it's a feeling that you have within you that makes you do those things. Practicing means you are practicing a specific set thing. The commandments in the Quran of the Muslims, the filthy false doctrine of Allah. So that's what you mean. So Allah's saying, don't forget to practice it yourselves because you are studying this scripture here, and the scripture is telling you how to do that. So once again, there's no free will. You're not being nice. You're not being generous or charitable or kindly. You are practicing the rules of conduct in this book, outlined further in this book. You're a slave, effectively, is what that means. So we move on to 45. Nay, seek help with patient perseverance and prayer. It is indeed hard, except to those who bring a lowly spirit. Oh, isn't that interesting? So, 45 starts nay, as in no, don't do that. When he says, are you going to uphold these customs given to you in the Quran or not? And then you think, well, I might not. No, don't do that, is what he's saying. Don't do that. Seek help with patient perseverance and prayer. And there's a spelling mistake in here. I will show you it. I've lost it now. Crappy. There we go. Right. Notice there. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. Notice here where my finger is. It says, where is it? Here. Nay, seek God's help with patient. Patient with no A in it. So there's a mistake in there. So it is not perfectly preserved because someone who translated it has made a mistake. But anyway, the mistake reads like this. Nay, seek God's help with patient perseverance and prayer, i.e. the God's help you're going to find is in here, because we know Allah doesn't come to his people. Nobody ever sees or knows or speaks to Allah directly. Allah doesn't exist in this world. What exists in this world is Allah's slaves who read this. So that's what he's really saying here. He's saying ask other Muslims to help you that you will meet at the mosque in order to do these commands. He's enforcing his slavery further. Then he goes on to say, it is indeed hard except to those who bring a lowly spirit. Now, what is a lowly spirit? High spirits is like, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm exuberant, I'm excited, I'm really down and into the task at hand. I'm going to put all my energy into it. I'm going to be fierce and strong within that thing. High spirits is the opposite of lowly spirits. So he's saying here, it will be difficult for you to uphold this stuff in this book unless you have a lowly spirit. So he's saying if you're joyful and happy and exuberant and energetic, you won't want to do this stuff. He's literally admitting there, this is a depressive, miserable person's false doctrine that you won't want to do if you have a high spirit. Only lowly spirits need apply. So presumably he wants to lower your spirit through doing this, because that's the effect he has just described. Doing this is for lowly spirits. That's what he just said. But he claims to be this merciful, graceful God. It's like the opposite. If you read the Holy Bible, the Old Testament, God wants you to be in high spirits. He wants your cup of spirits to be overflowing at all times so that you're happy and joyful, so that you spread that to other people. Whereas Allah wants you to be a depressed, miserable, spiteful, angry preacher of hate and false doctrines, especially when you go to his mosque, because he says, and I quote, bring a lowly spirit. 45, that's what it means. 46, who bear in mind the certainty that they are to meet their Lord and that they are to return to him. So if we break this one down, he's now talking about the judgment day. So he's saying if you do all this stuff in a lowly spirit, you give your money to the mosque, you do all the zakat and the prayers, and you do all the Qur'an stuff that he's told you about, then you will assuredly meet him when you die. He will be the one who is there when you die. And then after that, you will return to him. So he is in two places at once here. He's there when you die physically in the world. Then your spirit travels to him and you will appear where he is in the other place. That's the only way this could be interpreted. Let's go through it again, because I know Muslims will whinge about this and they deny it, because they claim that Allah is a oneness, he's a unified single creature. Who bear in mind the certainty that they are to meet their Lord. So bear in mind you will definitely die. You will definitely meet your Lord, who is Allah in this book. So when you die, you'll meet Allah. And then you will return to him. That's what it says. And then return to him. So you die, then you return to him. So when you die, he's there, then you return to him, he's also there. There's two Allahs. Or perhaps he's lying, which will be a 10th lie on these 7 pages, and you actually don't return to him unless you get sent to the evil fire, which is where Satan hangs out. And we'll find out later he describes himself as being there. So that's what that means, and we move along. 47 is a bit of a repeat of earlier, but stay with me, there's a good reason why he repeats this. 47. O children of Israel, call to mind the favour which I bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you to all others for my message. So, as we went through before, call to mind the favour I bestowed on you, O children of Israel, is a lie. He has never bestowed favour on the children of Israel. In fact, twice already in the book, he's tried to kill them. And plenty of other times in future, he will again try to kill them. That's what's happening in Israel today. Muslims via Hamas and Hezbollah, the axis of evil, the powers of terrorism, are trying to kill the Jews. Why are they trying to kill the Jews? Because Allah has commanded them to and made those prophecies which didn't come out. And they are trying to correct time so that Allah's prophecies can then be viewed as true. Therefore, they can say that Islam is a true religion, when currently they cannot. They have to say it's a false religion, even though they lie, permissible lies, and they say that it is true anyway. So that's what he's talking about here when he says, O children of Israel, call to mind the special favour I bestowed upon you. Then he says, and that I preferred you to all others. Now, do we have any evidence that he prefers the children of Israel to all others? Well, let's go back through what we have learnt so far. No, page 1 has got no mention of children of Israel. No, page 2 has no mention of children of Israel. Page 3 has no mention of the children of Israel, but it does actually say Muslims are the people who are going to get his grace and his guidance. And they're the ones on the straight path. So Muslims so far are the chosen favoured people who get his vote. No, no mention of the children of Israel again. No mention throughout any of these pages until here, which he says, O children of Israel, call to mind the favour I bestowed on you, which we know to be false. Now he's repeating it here in verse 47. So that is 11 lies that Allah has told, one repeated twice, in only 7 pages. And he says, I preferred you to all others, brackets for my message. So for my message has been added by the translator, and it is just incorrect, because Jews and Christians, i.e. the children of Israel, we are not interested in Allah. We think Allah is Satan, and we didn't have his message. Our message was predated like thousands of years before this was created. So the message that Christians have is from the Old Testament, the Ark of the Covenant, written by Moses and his progenitors, which dates back to before the slavery in Egypt and the exile period, which is before this was written. So this is a lie. Anyway, that's what that means, and we move on to the last verse, 48. Then, guard yourselves against a day when one soul shall not avail another, nor shall intercession be accepted, nor shall compensation be taken, nor shall anyone be helped from outside. End of verse, end of reading. So we return to the normal mode of operation of Allah, where he is threatening the children of Israel with death and saying nobody's going to help them. So let's break it down. Then, after you have called to mind that Allah really loved you the most and was giving, he favoured you for his Qur'an message, but then you buggered it up and you left. You got out. You didn't want to be slaves of the Pharaoh, so you left. That's what he's talking about there. Allah's saying, "O children of Israel, when you were slaves in Egypt, and I said you better stay here and be slaves and drop your God and be slaves of mine, and you said no, that was my special favour I bestowed upon you. I let you go." Even though we know he didn't let him go, Moses forced him to let them go through the miracles of God, which is why they rejected him, because they already had a true God who did those miracles and gave them Moses and led them to freedom. Whereas Allah tried to kill them, failed, tried to slave them, failed, and then threatened them with a future death and genocide as they were leaving, and sent soldiers to kill them, who all got killed. That is what the special favour of Allah is referring to. So he says, then, with that in mind, guard yourselves against a day when one soul shall not avail another, nor shall intercession be accepted, nor shall compensation be taken, nor shall anyone be helped from outside. So Allah is saying, look forward to that day of judgment, O evil Jews and Christians, when I will get you and I will kill you all a second time. So I'll spiritually kill you all. You'll all be dead by this point. And when that day arrives, none shall be able to help another. It doesn't matter how many you are or what weapons you've got. You will not be able to stop me from killing your souls. Nor shall intercession be accepted for her. So praying to Jesus ain't going to help you out here. Muhammad ain't going to help you out here. Nobody is going to help you out here. Nor shall compensation be taken, so you won't be able to pay your way around this. No jizya tax is going to help you here. And nor shall anyone be helped from outside. So it means nobody else in the world is going to care, O Jews, O children of Israel. Allah is making a threat here. And the threat is, I'm coming for you, O Jews and Christians. You're going to die, then I'm going to get you after that with my day of judgment. And at that point, none shall be able to help you. I will damn you to my evil fire, and there'll be nothing you can do about it. And that's the end of our reading. So, I think it's been a short episode today. In summary of what we have learnt from today's page of Qur'an, we have learnt that Allah is a foamy-mouthed genocidal maniac who wants to kill these people at the same time as saying he bestows a special favour upon them. He wants to usurp the place of God by claiming that he is the person they made the covenant with, despite the fact that they escaped from him via their covenant with God, and he's now saying he's the reason they escaped, even though he was physically there, and we'll read this later on, and said, damn it, you've all escaped, send the Egyptian soldiers after you to stop you escaping. Then Moses makes the sea crash in and they all die, and he says, filthy Jew apes, I will kill you all and I will burn down Israel, my justice upon you will be swift. But it never happens. So he's retconning that now and saying, oh, actually, I bestowed favour upon you, I let you escape because I love you. But I'm going to kill you in future and there'll be nothing you can do about it. So that's the false doctrine that we go through today, and I think we have more evidence. Allah is a liar, propagating of false doctrines and garbage in this book. He wishes harm upon humans. He's malevolent. He has nothing nice to say. He hasn't offered any gifts. He hasn't done anything at all to get the praise which he demands from you. And he has already, within 7 pages of his holy scripture, separated the world into 2 groups. A small group of people called Arab Muslims who follow this, and everybody else on earth who don't follow this and never will, because remember, he has sealed their hearts with evil, and he will burn them via his Muslims. Then after they die, we'll have Judgment Day. And after that Judgment Day, then when he's burning all the souls of everyone else who aren't Arab Muslims, then he can create his new garden paradise, which you will pass through the holy door, and you will get your virgins, and you will be righteous at last, O Muslims. So that's the end of this video. It's just terrible, isn't it? I really hate this book. So I hope it's beginning to become clear to you now. Although you are told this is a holy book and that the Islam religion of peace is equal to all other religions, this is equal to rat dung. That is what this is. This is absolute poisonous rat dung crap and garbage, false doctrine that will send you to hell for having read through it and believed it. And it is the opposition of God that this book will bring you into. You will be an opponent of true God if you believe on this. Therefore, you shall be working as a slave. Like, that's what he calls his people. You will be working as a slave for Satan, who is Allah. if you believe on this. So my advice to you, dear ladies, gents and Pikachu, is buy and read it and learn it, because this is the sword of Satan that we need to avoid, but do not believe on it. This is the proof that these guys do believe it, and it doesn't matter which country they're in. This transcends borders. This is enforced on the head of the Muslims. They can't escape it. So this is the jihad which we have experienced and will be experiencing in future times. And if we are to defend ourselves from this, keep ourselves and our souls safe, and stay in contact with the truth and grace freely given to us by God, our birthright, then we need to read the Holy Bible, pray to Jesus, and know that this guy is Satan, and he will be defeated by us and Jesus. So, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. God bless you all, and I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. Oh, that was fun, wasn't it? So if you would like to hear more Without Lies, Islam Dies, check back tomorrow and the following day, which we will be going through more Quran verses of filth, garbage and nonsense. In the meantime, I shall bid you a good day. God bless you all, and I will see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now.